Good evening, everyone. Sorry about the glitch earlier. I wanted to go live tonight. Today would have been my book release and signing, but due to COVID-19, that's going to have to be rescheduled, and it's going to be a book signing. But I just wanted to come on real quick and talk to you guys about marrying outside of God's will. For those of you that have pre-ordered from me already and you stay in the high desert, if you have not already received your book, you shall be receiving it soon. Carly's out making the deliveries right now. And everyone else that is not in the high desert, your books were mailed to you last night. I wanted to come on and share the reason that I wrote this book. It wasn't really something that I wanted to do. It wasn't my plan or my vision. I'd say November of 2018, I kept saying that I was going to write a book called Marrying Outside of God's Will. Honestly, I do not know why I kept saying that, but I just felt something in me like I needed to write a book, but I couldn't figure out why. Well, I started and stopped and started and stopped writing the book several times. And then I got on the prayer line and a prophet told me, mind you, I knew that he was telling the truth because he does not know me or anyone. At the time, only 3 people knew that I was writing the book, and he did not know those 3 people. So he said, God said, you need to stop starting and stopping the book. You need to finish it, that there are souls waiting for that book. So immediately, of course, I start crying because I'm like, God sees me fit to be responsible for some souls. That's really, really powerful. So after that, I started writing nonstop, and I got it done. I want to thank my publisher, Lisa James. This was not an easy project. A lot of changes, things had to be done. So I'm very appreciative of her. I want to thank Carly Palmer. She's my assistant. She is the person that I bounce ideas off of at 2-3 in the morning. And she helps me look at things from an overall perspective, and I'm truly grateful for that. Of course, my mother-in-law, my husband, LaKendra's been a great support system. I just want to thank everybody. If I do not mention your name, I do apologize. I'm not trying to keep you long, but I do want to say thank you to everybody that has helped me with this project. People always say it takes a village to raise kids. I think it takes a village to be successful and to complete a project. I do not know everything, and I needed help, but God knew that this day was coming, and those relationships were already built and sustained. So when the time came, everybody was in position and was there willingly, no problem, to help me with what I wanted to do. This book is a very transparent book. I share a lot of things in here. My goal is not to go after anybody or to talk about anybody. My goal is to be transparent so people know that they are not the only ones that go through things in life. Whether it's depression, whether it's battling with suicide. Everyone knows that I have multiple children. I was in a toxic relationship. So my transparency is so people know they're not the only ones, but I'm proof that there's life after. I'm proof that God hears those late night cries from the bottom of your stomach. When you cry out and you have no other option, he hears you. That's the whole message of this book. And that's my point and my testimony, to let people know he hears you. So I want to read a portion of the book. Usually I read chapter 1, which a portion of chapter 1 is on my website, which is www.godsgods-ministries, ministries-will, WILL.com. But I'm not going to read chapter 1. I am going to just flip through the book because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have not read it yet. I put in the last of the edits and then I sent it off to my publisher. So I'm just going to pick chapter 21. There's 29 chapters in the book. The book is 111 pages long. The chapters are not long. They're easily to read through. So, chapter 21, it says, I called a friend of mine and I asked her if I could stay with her, and she said yes. I'd say about 2 weeks we stayed with her. Then I was told one of my church members had an extra room in her apartment. I called and asked her if the kids and I could stay with her, and she said yes. She welcomed us with open arms. Our oldest son broke his growth plate at a football game, and he was on crutches. His birthday was around the corner, and he wanted to go to John's and to have a party. I told him the party wasn't a good idea because his dad and I weren't together, and it wasn't going to turn out the right way because I wasn't planning it. He didn't listen. At this point, Levi and I were on speaking terms. The school kids would stay with him every other week because the house was literally around the corner from their school. We went to John's for our son's birthday, and we didn't really speak to each other. The day of the party came, not as many people showed up, and Levi was pissy drunk. I was ready to leave, so we sang happy birthday, and he embarrassed our son, and his brother was hyping him up. My friend from church and her daughter that I was staying with, and her and everyone else that were with us left. I kissed my son and told him I loved him and took off. Not even an hour later, my mother-in-law calls telling me to come and get my kids, that Levi was going crazy and fighting all of her sons. He put a hole in every door in the house, then he headbutted one of his brothers and fought the other. I called his brother Jackson and told him I was coming to get my kids. He said no, that he had it under control, and Levi started tripping because I left. I said what he thought was going to happen, that I wasn't living there before and I wasn't going to start now. I found out the rules that the county changed and that I could apply for homeless again, and I did. I thanked my friend for letting us stay, but we needed our own space. We started staying in a hotel. At this time, the engine in my Suburban went out. I would walk to work, but one of my mothers in the church would pick the kids up and take them to daycare. My daycare provider would take them to school and pick them up. She would pick me up after work and give us a ride to the hotel. Tristan called my dad and asked if he could pay to get the truck fixed, that he was on crutches and it was really hard on us. My dad sent the money with no hesitation. Despite all of my screw-ups or anything that we went through in the past, my dad was always there for the boys and I when we needed him. Halloween came around, and my friend from church that made the kids cake invited us to go trick-or-treating with her and her kids. She made homemade chili, and we had lots of laughs, and we went trick-or-treating. Levi called me because he wanted the kids, and I told him no. That I tried to call earlier. He didn't answer, and we were already trick-or-treating. He said it's because of stupid women like me, kids grow up without a dad. I hung up in his face and enjoyed the night with my kids. The kids and I were staying at the Park Hotel. I was paying for it because the county assistance was only for 14 days. I called Levi and told him that Thanksgiving was coming up and would he like the kids, and he told me no. I asked him if he was sure, and he said, be a mom to my effing kids, and hung up in my face. We spent Thanksgiving with my friend. She cooked a big meal. Levi called and said he wanted the boys. I told him that I made other plans, that I wasn't bringing them because he previously told me no. He hung up on my face. One Sunday, my sisters announced in church they were going to a conference in Atlanta. They said that God made a way for them to go. After church, I told them I wanted to go, that they couldn't leave me behind. At this point, I wasn't working anymore. I had gotten fired on the 1st of the month. One night, Levi threatened to shoot up my hotel room, and I told my coworker I wasn't coming in because I needed to get a restraining order against Levi. When my coworker told my bosses, and they said I couldn't come back to work until Levi was arrested. This was when I learned the hard way not to mix business with my personal life. I called my dad and told him I really wanted to go to Atlanta, and he paid for my ticket. I called Levi and told him I was leaving for the weekend and he needed to watch his kids. While I was gone, I dropped the kids off to him, and I left my truck with him in case of an emergency. Chapter 22. My sisters and I were off to Atlanta. They already had a room all set up, and I had a little money in my pocket. I was so thankful that God allowed me to share that experience with them. We got out there Friday evening. The revival was Saturday, and the evangelist, knocked our socks off. She preached the house down. After we stayed for pictures and her book signing, a lot of people there knew who were my sisters were from the night we preached at the church for school. The evangelist invited us to go to church with her. the next day, but we told her we had to go home. God had other plans. The airport was shut down for the first time ever. We went back and checked back in our room and changed our flight, so we ended up staying for 4 or 5 days, I believe. Levi was blowing up my phone. He was upset because we had to stay longer. I asked him for a loan and he promised to send money, but he never did. I was FaceTiming with our oldest son and Levi kicked in his door and snatched the phone out of his hands. I got a call later that Levi called the kids downstairs and beat up Tristan in front of all the other kids. I called Levi's brother Jackson and I told him if his brother put his hands on my kids again, I would put him in jail. I sent the evangelist a friend request on Facebook and my sister set up for us to have dinner with her. We were super excited to have dinner with her. When she finally got there, she told us that she had been pulled over and it was nothing but the devil because the whole time she lived out there, she had never been pulled over. That she doesn't travel by herself, but she had a word to deliver. I was surprised that that word was for me. She said when she accepted my friend request, she started looking through my page and that she saw a murder-suicide. She saw Levi killing me and then the kids and killing himself. I started to cry because I never told anyone that he used to threaten to kill me and the kids and then kill himself. We were talking and I started to tell her I was always wanted a daughter but couldn't have one and didn't understand why God wouldn't give me one. I told her I had left him and that I was staying between their houses and I came because they couldn't leave me. She said that I would find love again and he would genuinely love me and accept all my kids. She said that he wouldn't have kids because there would be too many between us. She said I was going to have a daughter, but I couldn't have one with Levi because out of spite, he would have done something to hurt her. My mouth just dropped. How she could know all of this? I didn't tell her my life story, and before the conference, we had never met. That was nothing but God. We took pictures and tossed around the idea of me moving to Atlanta. Before we left, my sisters prayed for her, and I did a covering prayer while they were praying. Till this day, I swear the ground moved while we were praying. The next day, the airport opened up and we flew home. I went straight to get my kids. I was so excited to see them. I missed them so much. What the evangelist said stuck in my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I enjoyed my trip, but after finding out what I did, I felt guilty for leaving them. I also knew that the trip was necessary. She really encouraged me. So, if you guys want to know the rest of the book, you're going to have to purchase it. My book is available by ebook and paperback. The ebook is $12.99. The paperback is $20. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, and also I found out yesterday Walmart. It is still in the process of being distributed, so it will be available in other places. One thing that I want you guys to take away from my book, if I can, is don't be ashamed of the mistakes that you've made in the past. We've all made mistakes. We've all gone through things in life. Homelessness, sins. You know, we all sin. Nobody's perfect. Depression, as I mentioned earlier, battling with suicide or being in a toxic relationship. There's no need to be ashamed because you never know the way your transparency can save a soul or help the next person. I do appreciate you guys' time. I truly pray that my transparency in my books helps somebody. If it's not for you, because we all have different journeys, maybe it's for somebody that you know. And this book is not only for women, it's for men as well. Sometimes it takes for you to walk a mile in the other side. When I say other side, is the other sex, whether it be a woman or man's shoes, for you to put things into perspective and look at things in another way. I appreciate you guys' time. I hope that everyone is staying safe during this COVID-19. I will keep updates for the book signing. And if you guys want an autographed copy of the book, please reach out to me. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. You guys have a wonderful and blessed evening, and thank you for your time again.